Ladies and gentlemen, Friday night, FSB Winston Cup 88. Next to last race for all the marbles. This is Kentucky Speedway 2011 SDD. Oh, no, it's actually SDT. But this is Bill Mitter Jr. along with my cohort in crime, the voice of FSB Racing, Greg Bernardo.
What's up, Milty? What's up, everyone? Yes, Milty, Kentucky SD, as in Delta. Not the other way around, which could mean a multitude of things.
That don't pertain to sim racing.
Absolutely. And yeah, we're here in Kentucky. It's a night race. A more updated version from, I think, an original Kentucky that was made. Of course, Kentucky Milty came out much later than NR 2003, so Kentucky was not an original track.
Well, Kentucky woman, baby, and this is an awesome track. I was able to long time ago to get a Sportsman Cup win here, and the turns on this track are very, very different, and definitely 3 and 4 slamming on the brakes a little bit, and really 1 and 2 just really hugging that bottom line. But this version of the track, the outside line also has some grippage.
Yeah, it sure does. As we get underway here at Kentucky, bringing you 107 laps here. Jeff Hale, front row. Mike Sanders right there in the 191 car, and there's the 43 car, Rick Bisconner, now up to third. And a familiar sight at the front here this season, Milty, is that 29 and the 43. Both solid seasons. Obviously, not making all the races is more of an impact for each of them than any poor running in the series.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and Mike Sanders too. I mean, and this is right up his ballpark. And you see these cookie cutter tracks like this that take a lot of skill. Mike Sanders is always up there at the front.
Yes, he is, and he is a factor in mile and a halves, no matter where they're located. And you can see he's driving really good right now. He's hugging that yellow line there, going into 3, and then letting that car drift out into 4, Milty. It is an odd track, Milty, as you said, not the cookie cutter that we're used to. So there is some driving thoughts here. As you can see, that big, thick white line, Milty, you can really get underneath it in the corners, and that's going to be something I think we're going to see all night long, is those guys really hugging the inside lane here, trying to get that wide runoff from each corner.
Absolutely. You cannot just roll around this track. You got to drive. You got to manhandle the car. You got to get it really woed down for turn 3 there, and get that great apex and late run there. Not sure if it's a blip on the brake or it's been so long since I've run here. I can't remember, but or a lift. But you got to get it down in those corners a little bit less, almost flat out. Probably at the beginning here, flat out through 1 and 2.
Yeah, and we're looking at our 4th place driver at the moment. There's Pops Marguson in that 99 car, and you can see this 5-car train here at the front, anchored by Josh Elliker. Mark DeSenza trying to join the party there as well. Single file, that low line dominating right now. You can see the darker part of the track in the corners as well, and you see the guys are going to be well underneath that dark part, so they have some track kind of to play with, Milty, because usually in these tracks, the dark area, the track builders give you those hints there as where the grip is on the track.
Yeah, and a lot of times they're off camber, so as soon as you hit those with your left tires, and it is. You can see it is off camber, but uh, definitely more grip level with that newer asphalt down on the bottom there.
You can see the field very tightly bunched still. We'll go a little in-car here, Milty, early on, and let's ride with our admin here, the 07 Ken Soska. You can see the leaders in front of him, and see about lifting and what he's going to be dealing with in these corners, Milty.
180 miles an hour into the corner. Turn one there, so you just hearing a lift. You definitely hear that RPM go down. Breathe the gas coming up. Now you're going into turn three here. Yeah, I think they're kind of trail braking there a little bit, maybe.
And we can also see that red box Ford of Rick Johnson looming in the mirror, Milty. As you can see, he's also hitting the rev limiter there almost, get the flashing light as they get into these turns.
Yeah, these are not like fixed fast setups for NASCAR 2003 sim racers that know what that means, which is basically a base setup. Even though these are fixed setups, these are professional setups. As we see, Rick Johnson pretty much just got to run these last two races, and he is going to be the king again. To add to that resume, which is only rivaled by a few in the 14-year history of FSB racing.
Yeah, and we saw Rick there just getting a good run. Draft is slightly a factor here as the single file racing, but you can see as they come off the corner, Rick just turned his car down and just had that momentum and just easily got by Ken. Of course, Ken giving him plenty of room there as well. Now we can see Ken trying to work the outside of Ryan Johnson as they had really got a good run there together, and now Ryan has to give some ground and Ken up a position.
Well, that's just showing you too that grip level up high is pretty good on this version of the track.
And we can see now Rick doing kind of what his calling card is, Milty. Slowly work your way up, and then as we get about halfway through a run, or maybe a little more than that, he'll start moving toward the front, start picking guys off in anticipation of a green flag stop.
Well, that's all fine and good when you theorize that plan, but you got to execute it. And you'll notice the spacing between him and the 6 and the draft is still within a second, or close to a second, and now it's closing. He's in that draft. You know, you try to hang back and be cool, you get caught up a little bit. Next thing you know, you lose that lead draft, and you go backwards because these cars are severely draft dependent. He has that fine mix of being able to save it and then still stay in that group and then suck up to him.
Yeah, we're looking at some numbers there from Ken Milty. 177 miles an hour into the turn, and really only about a half-second drop-off so far in times for Ken. 15 laps into the run, so the tires here, Milty, really nice setup. It looks like they got some speed and they got some good tires.
That Gatorade crew, after getting a victory this year, they've been pumped up, and you know, when you get a win like that, it just builds your confidence, and you start to believe in your plan. You know, you got a chance to win one of these races.
Yeah, and we got some mixing up here at the front of the field now with Mike Sanders and Rick Bisconner side by side for second place. Mike's really held that position since the green flag, but now Rick challenging on the outside, and he has help. So that is definitely going to play a factor. And Rick now closing the door on Mike Sanders, then shooting back up high, closing the door on Josh Elliker at the same time. He's not in a doorman mood right now, Milty.
Mike Sanders and Pops behind him are Chargers, man. They're
Wow.
Chargers, but these guys have all been racing each other a lot, and you see a lot of evolution of their skills.
And now Josh with a great run on the outside while those guys were fighting, Milty. And he got the momentum and he just pulled around both of them. Now Josh Elliker up in the second. Rick and Mike still battling, and there's contact.
Oh,
And Mike hard into the outside
right
wall.
in front of Rick Bisconder. Watching that in car, and don't know if he made contact, but
yeah, there was some contact between Rick and Mike. Mike obviously on the outside of that got the worst of it. Yellow flag out, race back to the line. Jeff Hale covers Josh there. Pops now up the third. Mark DeCenza fourth. Rick Johnson fifth. Checking on Rick there. He crosses the line now back into eighth. So that definitely affected Rick and certainly affected Mike Sanders. Can
take a look at this stuff here.
yeah,
See what
let's get
what we saw.
and take a quick look at that. Yeah, it just was, I think, just two guys maybe unwilling to, compromise what they were doing at the time. They were both driving hard. They both wanted that position, and I think that was just the end result of it there. We can see.
Yeah, I think my Rick was down low. He couldn't go any lower. He was in his line. I think Mike Sanders just miscalculated the distance there. He wanted to go too wide. He didn't want. He obviously knew his spotter was telling him that 43 was inside. It was no way he was telling him it was clear. He just thought he was clear, and he misjudged that.
Yeah, that's
the
what it looks like,
yeah, the 43 can't go any lower. He's already committed to that line, and it looks like unfortunately Mike came down on Rick Bisconder there.
Yeah, you can also see here in the replay where Mike's well above the dashed line as he enters the turn. That really makes contact completely inside that line with Rick. So he definitely moved his car from a little further out to in. I think maybe you saw Pops there as well. So a lot of things I think factored into that, why Mike felt maybe a need to get down just a bit there. But just
those are lanes. Yeah, those are lanes just like the freeway in your passenger car. I mean, even though when you apex the corners, it kind of changes the angle. Those are visual acuities you use in your peripheral vision as you're driving as to where your car position is, especially if you drive in car. I'm not sure what. Personally, I drive in car, so. And I'm hearing the spotter, and I'm also looking at those lines as with the repetition of knowing, can a car fit down below me or not?
Absolutely, and I that's definitely.
But I've pinched a lot of guys down like that too,
Yeah, I mean, at that point in the run, 20 laps in, the tires are going through a change, and those are all factors into that equation, and it came out that Mike's car hit the outside wall pretty good. Rick may have sustained slight damage there as well. He's in the pits now getting his four tires. He looked like he stayed out to lead a lap, and now he's coming in, and he'll be on the tail end of the lead lap now, or excuse me, the tail end of the lead pack.
They don't miss nothing. So they don't get excited that he just got in a wreck there, and he still had the presence of mind to try to get that 1 point for leading the lap for his team and for his points. That's professional sim racing right there.
Yeah, and as we mentioned earlier with Rick Johnson, pretty much it's just a matter of him running out the string now for the championship. But um, as we may try to show you here at the end of the race with the points, there are uh, top 5 positions to be had. There are top 10 positions to be had. So there are some things to race for amongst the field. And if you're in the top 5, if you have a shot at that podium, Milty, you got to grab it. If you're in the top 10, you have a chance to grab a top 5. You usually want to do that. Especially in a series like this, we had 50 plus drivers compete. Uh, that's a feather in your cap to finish in the top 5 of all the guys that compete here on a week in and week out basis.
Yeah, and it's a group of adults, and Isaac, but he acts like an adult, but he's still 16 years old, But other than that, it's pretty much people that have to do life, have to do family, kids, grandkids. You got baby boomers, you got Gen X, you got Millennium, you got all the. Of course, I know all this stuff because I went through a work orientation today. Driving all that, which is pretty cool, But you got all these guys. You got to do life, and also when they get to show up, they're ready to race, and you see that every week. And obviously, when you look at all of what Rick Johnson could have won, or Mel Mitter could have won, or Jim Ray, or you, or anybody, if you put a whole week, a whole year together. This year, Rick Johnson was able to do that with the support of his crew chief and girlfriend Bonnie. But
Yeah.
the rest of these guys, that's ultimately, these guys are also skilled. It's ultimately usually what decides championships is how many races you make and your skill level. But just kudos for all, as we go green here again, for all these guys that showed up. The league is huge, but you're not going to. If you had all 80 guys show up at once, there's only 40 spots in the server. So
Yeah, that's true too.
and this is a huge racing league, but and they race almost every night.
Every
Yeah.
five nights a week for about 20 plus straight weeks. It's a demanding schedule, but it's the one that's been set in stone for now, 15 years now. That this is what it is. The guys that have been in this league for a long time, their clocks are set to it, and that's what we do here. And
Their
we're
egos
on.
don't get in the way. They're not worried about championships, but when they show up, they want to try to win a race. But they still race clean and fun. So here we go.
Yeah,
Let's get it on.
we have basically a leader since the get-go. Jeff Hale continuing to lead. Josh Elliker in second. Rick Johnson up to third now after the pit stops. Ken Soska up to fourth, pops fifth.
Who dat in that red car?
And then we got the 8 car, the Hooters ride of Dino Francesconi. And then a couple of the beat up guys there, Mike Sanders, Rick Pisconer. They're together again, Milty. So sometimes that seems to happen too. A guy that you might have a run in with, then you can't leave each other alone for the entire time. And they're nose to tail right now. Mark DeSenza in the mix there. Ryan Johnson, shotgun on the field at the moment. Looks like Ryan's really taking it easy. He backed off. He was up into the top 5 in that first run, then backed it off and kind of seemed like he was content to cruise the rest of that run. But of course, the caution came out, and that kind of ended that plan for him. But
That's the same plan as the 6 is doing too, though. Mark, this is a D rocket. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lift off. He hasn't really lifted off here. We're not used to seeing him just chilling in the back, but all these guys are pros, man. They know how to make stuff happen there. And great run for Dino Francesconi there, running in 7th. He's had fine runs against this great competition. His evolution of sim racing has been really impressive. We talk a lot a lot about his brother, and we should, because Dan Francisconi is an inspiration to all of us. Paralyzed from the neck down, and
And
an
by the way,
artist.
winning a sprint, a Grand National sprint race earlier in the week as well. By the way, Milty.
And another win. Man,
Yeah,
I hate
another
working
win.
so
You're
much.
right.
Another win and this guy is unbelievable. His brother Dino is kind of, and he's chill about it. He's not, he knows what. I'm sure his brother is an inspiration to him too.
I'm sure he's extremely proud of his brother.
And a skiing accident
all
when
those
he was
things.
a water skiing accident when he was a young man, and he broke his neck. I mean, that would kill most of us. I mean,
Yeah, and
but
he's an amazing guy. Of course, support when that kind of an injury happens, Milty. The family support, the friend support is critical, and Dino, I'm sure has been there every step of the way for him as well. So that's a tight bond, I'm sure that they have, and when Dino comes out and runs, regularly, Milty, you just see him get better and better
they
and
get
better each
better
week.
and better. Absolutely.
And I think that's what we're seeing as he comes out to some Winston Cup races. If he's going to show up maybe for the next season, I wouldn't be anywhere near surprised to see him running in the top 10. We got some good
Yeah.
racing going
Yep.
down here too, Milty.
There
Second, third,
comes
fourth, fifth
Woo!
are really fighting it out here. Ken,
RKD. The rocket is starting to fire that missile there.
yeah, he's slowly has made his way up to fourth now, and he's set his sights on the '07 Ken Soska, currently in third. We see Josh Elliker and Pops battling side by side right behind him.
Quietly into third there with that '07.
Yeah, we saw him there
It's
kind of
wow.
shadowing Rick Johnson earlier, Milty, on that in car. And I mean, when you want to get better at anything, what do you do, Milty?
You follow the 52.
That's right. If it's sim racing, you
Do
follow
what
the
he
52.
do.
So I think Ken's trying to really go to school, and these
He
last,
whipped me for years, and
I mean, man,
wow.
this last, I'd say the second half of this long season, Milty, Ken's really been a factor in every race. He's been running in top fives. He's led laps. He's won a race. I mean, that's a great second half for the admin. On top of the admin duties, I mean, usually, Milty, admins really have it tough to run well because they got so many things
Yeah,
going on.
absolutely,
They
yeah.
really don't get any track time.
I call him the Manimal because his racing schedule, and he's a really smart guy and does a lot of high tech stuff for a lot of high tech smart people. So, uh, he's a brainiac. But he also works a schedule that work wise out of Florida, and racing wise is very demanding. But he also puts a lot of work in racing. He got into this when he was younger, and then had kids and wives and life, and got back into it. And his life is so steady that he has just gotten 100% in, and you're starting to see the talent. You don't see too many people that want to be committed to do this that don't have the love or the feel for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see a very familiar sight here at the front of this race now. Jeff Hale leading, Rick Johnson chasing him down, and I'm sure Jeff is unfortunately used to seeing Rick Johnson in his mirror or right in front of him, one of the two. These guys are front runners, and they're very familiar with each other. Mark has now worked his way all the way up to third, and again, not an unfamiliar sight for the top two to see looming in their mirrors, that six car. And it's kind of like an old an old worn blanket, Milty, that you always go to when you're a little chilly. These guys are so used to each other racing around each other that usually the racing is intense and close, but very rare do we see contact.
Well, you watch this 180 mile an hour chess game here, and these guys are doing it with ease like a ballet, and they understand where their car is or where they think they are tire wise and fuel wise, and also what their competitor is. When they see him coming, they let him by, and this is smart, long term thinking here. And here comes that 52.
Yeah, and you can see though as well, Milty, the top 10 only separated by less than 3 seconds, 2.7 seconds. That's a tight field now, about 15, 16 laps into this run. So while Jeff clearly the leading car and looking the best, he's certainly not outpacing anyone at the moment. So this is something that Rick Johnson, I'm sure, will take note of in his review of everything that he takes in. Is that
He's got a notebook, dude.
Here.
I'm telling you, he's got a. That thing's probably about 4 inches thick.
And of course, we also know what he's known for, which is his coming in without the lead. Green flag stops happening, and all of a sudden, he's not only in the lead, but he's driving away from everyone. So I think he's thinking that right now, as we may get into about a 15 lap window now, maybe 20 laps before we would see a green flag stop.
Well, you're starting to see the tire deg kind of even out a little bit of movement there, and then all of a sudden everybody's trying to hit their marks, and that's the thing is, I've done some things in driving these kind of cars, but when you watch the evolution now, I mean, if I was to get in the car against these guys, I mean, this is the pinnacle of precision as this league has evolved over 14 years. You're seeing it.
Yeah, and it looks like to be the mover at this time is the 47 car, Milty. He's moved up from about 5th, 6th position. He got around Mark DeCenza for 3rd, and now he's slowly closing in on the leaders. In fact, he's there now, just a couple tenths off of Rick Johnson. So Josh Elliker's car is definitely coming to life in the second part of this run. We see Pop's car kind of falling back now. He was up there in the 3rd position for a while, then he's fell back to 5th. Mark's kind of steadied himself in 4th there, but doesn't look like he's making much ground at the moment. So I'd say Josh right now is the mover of the race, 44 laps in, and maybe, about 20 laps now into this run.
Well, he's doing what I would want to do, but whether or not I could execute it, those first few laps, you can use a higher line, but especially at Kentucky, and my limited experience here, later in the run, you want to back it off more and hug that line. You see, Josh has done that. With a lot of discipline over and over.
The move, and Josh Elliker up to 2nd there. It looked like Rick really gave him the position. And I think Rick is now recognizing that running hard and trying to outrun Josh is not going to help his cause at all. But following Josh probably will help his cause. So again, that's why he's our points leader, and that's why he's, one of the legends of NR 2003, Milty, and that's a very veteran move right there by Rick Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care what. There's still a lot of leagues out there, and NR 2003 is strong, but I guarantee in any league, any format, any setup, he would be a player.
Oh, absolutely, Milty. He knows how to set up a car. If this was open setup, I'd shudder for the competition, I think, because then he could really set the car up to his liking, Milty. He's dealing with someone else's setup and making the best of it, where I'm sure if he had his own wants here and tweaks, that we would see probably a different setup for Rick Johnson, and dare I say he'd be even better.
Kitsoska in the 07 definitely got shuffled out and is starting to move back.
Yeah, we see
I don't know if he experienced a problem or if he just decided to or use his stuff up here.
Yeah, we see the second pack has fallen back now significantly in these last 10 laps. I think there was a lot of infighting back there amongst them, and that could
you
have
see
taken
Pops
its toll.
doing the same thing. Yeah, a lot of it is that low line. You get up on that high line with no draft and worn tires, you get shuffled.
And now Josh right up onto the back bumper of Jeff Hale. And this was really the first time all race that Jeff has even had anyone considered to be challenging for the lead. We're hitting lap 50 of 107, Milty, so very quickly getting to the halfway point of this race. And maybe, do I dare say one more stop? Jeff Hale slowing, and Jeff Hale making his stop now at lap 50.
And, let me tell you, here we go. Let's see it. This pit interest is very difficult.
There we see the rest of the pack going by, and Mark DeSenza also in. So 2 cars in, the rest of the field out, lap 50. A little earlier than I thought here, Milty, but
there's still off sequence.
I believe it's a one-stop race no matter how you slice it now if it stays green. So Jeff's saying, why not come in, first out, Milty. Mark DeSenza also getting his service. We see the field cycling around one more time. We do see some more takers, and I believe we see Josh Elliker and Rick Johnson are coming in.
The 6, Mark DeSenza.
Mark DeSenza out, Josh Elliker, Rick Johnson in. So another 2 cars in, Milty. So Rick Johnson coming in lap 51. Pop's also in with him. And Pop's slowly making his way with a good qualifying effort by Pops there in the second stall. Rick Johnson and Josh Elliker out.
But, Pops had kidney stones, a heck of a health problem there. Our oldest member at FSB, and he definitely looks like he's back to form and on point.
And we're checking the rest of the field here. Rick Bisconner going around again. Ken Soska going around again. Mike Sanders, Ryan Johnson, and Dino in. So a lot of varied lengths of run here, Milty.
As if this goes green, which these pit stops are being executed well, it's going to hurt them. But they rolled the bones,
And we'll check on Rick and Ken here, who are first and second in the running order now. And now we see
Here comes
Rick
the admin.
and Ken in. So lap 53, Milty, the last of the stops starting at lap 50.
Well, you got to do something, especially if you're falling back.
And Josh Elliker back into the pits, Milty.
That's him, yeah. Oh my gosh.
Black flag most likely for Josh Elliker. Let's see if he just does a drive-through here. It looks like where he's setting up on pit lane that he's just doing the drive-through. Yeah, that's going to really cost him under green flag conditions here. And Josh, yeah, just does a drive-through of pit lane, Milty. Rick Bisconner, Ken Soska are last 2 in from the group of cars. And they're coming out now. Rick with a great pit stop there.
Well, when you talk about these pro drivers, and when you see a mistake by a great one like Josh Elliker, that just tells you how hard it is and how hard they're pushing to maximize, as we see all the time in real life on TV. this is high competition stuff here. That they have to, you
Yeah,
have to push it. Yeah.
and we see that Jeff Hale was our first to come in, Milty. He has a 1.7-second lead now over Rick Johnson, who came in a lap later. Of course, Josh Elliker was part of that uh, group with Jeff there, but now he's off of that. So it's a one-on-one at the front now, and then
That's
7
into
seconds,
Jeff's.
almost 7 seconds back to Mark DeSenza in third.
That's great stops by them and strategy and being alone with no obstructions. Uh, uh, the rest of them had to pit together, and that definitely, you know,
And then
they couldn't charge that pit lane like these two did.
the pack Milty, which is now 12 seconds behind our leader. Remember when they came in, there was
Wow.
about a 5-second gap. Now it's 12 seconds, so you can see what good clean pit stops do. And about a 7-second bonus for Jeff Hale and Rick Johnson over everyone else there in that pack, which is Mike Sanders, Ryan Johnson there. There's Rick Piscano. Now remember, Rick was one of the last in, Milty, and you can see that cost him 13 seconds of track time.
Yep.
And then
Well, you know,
Pop,
the model
Dino,
was
and Ken there are all
the
part
model.
of a group that
All right.
now has to hope for a caution, I think.
The model was built as the league progressed. 14 years of FSB
We got
racing.
caution.
Oh boy, that changes everything. That's get out of the jail free card right there for a lot of guys, but not for Josh Elliker.
Yeah, we see Josh up high and just not moving. Not sure what's going on there. If he's having some kind of controller issue, or
Could be a computer issue or internet.
yeah,
Generally,
the car
internet.
just drove straight into the wall, Milty, and then
It
came
looks
to an
like a.
abrupt stop. Yeah, he must have maybe had his wheel disconnected or something.
Yeah, it's some kind of computer issue. There's no way.
And he's still up on the wall. Now he's finally able to retire the car. So definitely an issue there for Josh, unfortunately. Man, it goes bad
Oh my
quick,
gosh.
Milty. When things go bad, Milty, they go bad quickly.
Yeah, you know, sim racing is not. You know, there's a lot of things you don't have to worry about, like you know, running over something because it's not real. You know, but sim racing is also about your internet connection and also uh, your computer. You know, they can crap out on you at any time. You know.
Oh, yeah. You know it.
And that's what I look like. Yeah, no matter most of us, and you know, you and I, we've got some pretty decent rigs, you know, so invested a lot of money in it, you know, but it's microseconds, milliseconds of data going all around the country to or other countries. I mean, look, we're going to be running the 24 hours of Le Mans, you know, next week, and you talk about stuff flying all over the world, you know, and all ending
my
up,
head thinking about it.
and to think at the same time you think you're actually racing some guy. Well, you are, but you're not racing him for real. It's you're sitting in your house in California, and dude's sitting in Iberia or or France or Germany or Australia. You know, I mean, it's mind-boggling. But it's really cool, and that's why we get all these pictures and get to see this stuff and get to pretend we are real race car drivers. Pretty bitchin'. So I'm going to step away for a minute. Sponsored by Budweiser, the King of Beers, and we'll get to the second half of this race here.
Yeah, we see him pacing here, lap 60 of 107, so definitely beyond the halfway point, 48 laps remaining. Lights still on the pace car, so we'll go around one more time. Jeff Hale back in the lead. Rick Johnson second, Mark DeSenza third, Rick Pisconer in fourth, and Dino Francisconi in fifth. Um, Small field tonight. Of course, second to last race of the season. Let's face it, after a long season, if you really got nothing to race for, sometimes it's hard to motivate yourself. It's Friday night, you got family, you got a wife, you got a girlfriend, you got kids. It's, an maybe easier time of the season to find something else to do. But we do appreciate the guys that show up each and every week, and of course they're going to put on a great show here, and they already have so far. We've seen some great racing there uh, amongst the front, and I expect we'll have a great finish here as well. That may be our last caution of the night. See some cars sneaking down pit lane for top up. I do not see that you could go the rest of the way. So think about 30 laps is our window, which would still mean one more stop, I believe. I could be incorrect there, but I don't know if any guys can go 40, 45, 46 laps here. Lights now out on the pace car, so we'll get back to green flag racing when we come back around. There's our leaderboard there in the top part of your picture. Jeff Hale, Rick Johnson, Mark DeSenza, our top three. And when we resume racing, we'll have 46 laps to go.
And that's going to be one more stop. I'll be looking at a variable of opportunities here. You probably could go 36. So what do you want to do? You want to run it out or pit with the Joneses,
Well, I would think if any of our competitors were paying attention to that green flag stop, Milty, you want to be first in, not last in.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Jeff Hale had a huge advantage there, and especially with a green flag flavor.
I'm coming in 20 laps, Milty. I'm
yeah.
right now, and I'm competitive.
Split this baby in half. Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm going to stick to it no matter what.
I agree. That would be, as we go green here, that would be my thinking. And all these guys are in the pack here. I mean, you still have 9 cars that can win this race.
No, absolutely. In fact, almost every car that's left in this field, Milty, has been a very competitive car at some point in this race, much less just in general. We've seen Rick right up at the front there battling. Mark DeSenza's right there. We saw Mike Sanders up to second place earlier. Pops has been in the top 5 almost all night. Dino's had a solid car all night there, just biding his time. Clean car all night. We saw Ken up to third place, I think, earlier. So these guys have all had a taste of the front of the field here tonight, and they're still running all together as the laps wind down.
Well, Dino Francisconi, he runs a lot on days where I'm not on the internet or watching or racing, and so even though he's been around a while, I'm really impressed with his car control and knowledge of what to do and race, and he races his position and speed that he's running. I'm very impressed with that.
Yeah, you can see he's cruising around right now, 7th position, right behind Pops.
These guys are going.
Ken there,
they cruising. Because they're scared to death every time they go into the corner. That thing's going to go around, Or maybe that's just me.
Back to the front to a familiar sight. We see Rick shadowing Jeff Hale, Mark DeSenza shadowing Rick.
Now those guys are the switch is flipped. Ding. Okay, we've been chilling in the back. All of a sudden, now we're going to, maybe we should look at some lap times to see what pace these guys are. How much pressure are they putting on the 29 here? 29. Last lap, 31. As we cross the line, 39.59. That's his best lap of the race. So he's obviously pushing. These guys are honestly yin yang here. So these guys are probably always doing personal bests now.
Now we're closing in on 40 to go in this race. And we'll ride with Rick Johnson, our second place runner right now. And you can see Rick just less than 2/10 off his fastest lap right now. And staying right on the back bumper of Jeff Hale. See Mark DeSenza in his mirror there.
This is your vision. This is exactly what you see from the cockpit. As a long-time nemesis and teammate, Rick drives just like this in his cockpit. There are options to run on the roof or bumper cam, whatever you like, in this league, but it's not forced cockpit. But Rick Johnson runs right like he's running like this. Actually, most of these guys do. In my opinion, it is the best way to go.
Yeah, I agree with you too. And see, he's really doesn't appear like he's trying to push the issue right now. I don't think. I'm sure the last pit stop is on his mind right now. When to do it? Do I wait for Jeff and go in with Jeff? Do I go in on my own schedule and don't worry about what anyone else is doing? Do I go around one more lap like I just did? All these things I'm sure are going into Rick Johnson's computer there, and it's going to spit something out to him, and we're going to find out pretty soon. But the fact of, does he want to be leading right now or following? Looks like maybe making that decision right now. Milty made a move to the inside there, but Jeff able to cover that up.
Well, I was in this position with GTP where I pretty much had the championship locked up, and I was racing Geek Kramer, and it was just about trying to win the race. Different car, different kind of racing, but I had nothing to lose, so I wasn't going to put him off, but I was going to pressure him as hard as I could and try to win and live with it. Pretty much, Rick Johnson just needs to show up, or he could clinch. I don't know the math, obviously.
I think
unfortunately,
he can't clinch tonight because they'll have a greater than 44-point lead.
But I knew that, so it was definitely. I was going to push as hard as I could, and then the next race I blew up on the last lap and sputtered. My car managed to sputter across the line. Very, very fortunate that actually clinched it.
And we're seeing Mark DeSenza slowly get larger in Rick's mirror, Milty, and kind of Jeff get a little smaller in front of him. So it looks like now Jeff trying to maybe stretch it out, and Rick now needs to react with Mark kind of pressing him from the back as well. He's going to really have to maybe make a decision here.
These guys are seasoned pros. This is a cat and mouse game, and it's every apex, every corner execution. One mistake, and these guys are going to pounce on you like you wouldn't believe.
And you can see they separated themselves by about 3 seconds from the rest of the field now. So a 3-car run now, Milty, and we're closing in on that 20 to go number. We're about 12 laps away from it. What are you thinking if you're one of these top 3 guys right now?
Well, the guys behind are they're in a dogfight, so that's hurt them too. These 3 guys are looking at each other like, what's he gonna do? What can I do that's different? Or the thing is, you're draft dependent, so uh, you get stuck by yourself, and there's 2 against 1, you're done. So you gotta think about executing your pit stop, and, what do you think these guys are gonna do? And they're all pretty smart, like-minded guys, so they're probably all looking at the same pit scenario that you were talking about.
Yeah, now I believe we're also now something to think about, Milty. I think we're inside the window that if you went and changed tires and got fuel right now, you could make it to the end of the race inside of 30 laps now. So will we see someone try to do a really short pit if you're in that
It
field
just
part
doesn't
of
help
the
you
drivers?
in a Winston Cup car. It just doesn't help you. Green flag run. You need that draft.
And we see Mike Sanders and Rick Misconner still going at it.
Wow.
Mike doing a
I was in car with Mike Sanders right there, and that was really close.
And these 5 cars you could throw a blanket over right now, Milty, and they're really fighting tooth and nail. If you're one of these guys way back here, 4 seconds off the pace, Milty, do you make an odd move? Would you pit now and try to break up everything, or do you think you gotta kind of take your medicine and just stay in line and pit with the group?
Gotta pit with a group, and also run it out as far as you can and hope this group does that. This is their option. They need to try to save fuel and maybe try to pit later than the leaders do, and hope a caution comes out.
And we saw that Ken and Ryan Johnson, I believe, also were the latest pit stop guys. They ducked in with one to go before green and topped up as well, Milty. So that should ensure them that they could go longest of anyone if that's what they choose to do.
So that's definitely their best shot. Yeah.
Closing in on 25 to go right now, 27 to go. Jeff Hale continuing to really just dominate this race. He's led pretty much every green flag lap. Maybe gave up the lead during a green flag exchange, but took it right back after the pit stops were over. And Rick has kind of been dogging him this whole race. And Mark DeSenza now is kind of falling off a bit, Milty, about a second off. Do you think that's a strategy, or are these guys just, putting the hammer down and Mark's just not either willing or able to do that?
Well, we've seen what Mark can do. He's definitely better if he's in first and second. But he definitely has the skill level to
and here we
also
go. Here we go.
Landing it.
25 to go, Milty. Rick and Jeff Hale in. So.
Oh boy! Look at that.
And they're side by side on pit road.
You don't know how hard that is, folks.
And this is going to be a drag race off pit lane. Rick Johnson doing a great job there. He's hitting his marks quick and hard. Now let's follow Jeff Hale all the way down to the preferred pit stall, Milty. And that could be the difference here in the end, is these pit stalls. Rick way back on pit lane. Jeff in that first position. There's Rick getting 4 tires. Fuel. He's out.
The multiple world champion, Rick Johnson, knew that he had to be on the inside because he knows where Jeff's pit stall is and where his was.
Right, and Jeff
he committed
right there.
Yeah, so he committed to that early and had it in his mind, and that's the greatness that is Rick Johnson, is those pit stops, and bam, bam, bam.
And now Mark DeSenza is our leader.
Wow, that's amazing stuff, folks. It's so hard. Greg, you know, as a sim racer, racing, you race almost every night, and you know, it's incredible.
Yeah, so Mark now our lone wolf leader, 3 seconds ahead of the hungry pack behind him. That again has a few guys that have really late fueled. So I would
Yeah,
expect those
give
guys
me a
again.
caution, God. Give me, you know, with a smaller field late in the season, which is typical in sim racing leagues, with people doing life, you know, and you're going to get these runs, but Ben, those guys really needed a caution for a win, you know.
Yeah, there's a very tough 5 car battle going on behind Mark DeSenza, which is about 2.8 seconds ahead of Rick Biscano
And
there
these
on
are
the
for
43
points,
car.
too. Pops,
Absolutely.
Biscotter, Ken, they're all battling for.
Yeah,
Uh,
they're all in the top 10 in points, Milty. So, yeah, there's something to race for amongst these guys, and Rick, especially, has had a really hard-fought race, and Mike Sanders, they've been glued at the hip, Milty, this whole race.
Mike might have a little damage, but you know that this is a great run for Mike too.
Yeah,
These
Mark
guys are
continuing to
loving
lead and
this stuff.
continuing to stay out. Jeff and Rick Johnson, who pitted early, are showing 1 lap down in 8th and 9th. Uh, so Mark, I think, has rolled the dice and is kind of in the same boat now with the rest of the field practically there,
Yep,
Milty.
yeah, he
I
is.
think
Yeah,
he's going to run this out to the bitter end.
he did not have the confidence in his speed or his car, and that run there. And that's what happens a lot. I mean, that's what separates them in from the boys is you get one run, one fuel run, where you're just right up on their tails, and you're thinking, I can deal with these guys, and then the next time you got to execute it again, and your tires may be different, or your mindset. Those first couple of laps of every single degree of tire temp that you put in these cars, these guys are mindful of tire temps. We don't talk a lot about that, but uh,
Yeah,
they're all
it's
monitoring that,
absolutely.
and you get those things up there over the 200s into the 220s, 225s. It starts to, especially early, it eats the meat off, and then there's nothing left but bone at the end. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. The NR 2003 is highly tire temperature sensitive. As you said, if you hit those high numbers early in the first half of a run, your second half is just going to punish you badly, and vice versa too, though, Milty. If you take care of the tires in that first part of a run, it really rewards you with really the temps kind of moderating, where you
Bing,
can
bing,
really
bing, bing.
go.
Here comes the 6, the 59,
Wow, that
99.
was a
They're
late
all
stop
pitting.
by Mark DeSenza there, barely getting in under the cone and having to lock up there.
Whoa!
Let's hope he wasn't speeding.
Whoa! Ay caramba! And Rick Johnson is closed on Jeff Hale, and
Yeah, we'll keep an
you
eye on
you
Mark
don't want
there.
either one of these guys behind you. That I mean,
There we,
that your foot starts to shake. You know.
there we see Jeff and Rick. We see some of the field making stops now. Ryan in, Rick Biscotter in, Mark DeSenza in, Dino's in.
They're running chill laps, like 31s. They're not running, trying to run fast laps in this run. So we'll see. You know, it should be close. It could be close. You know.
Yeah, I think it is going to be close. Ken continuing to lead now, has not stopped. Remember, Ken topped
Give
up,
me a
Milty.
caution.
Oh,
Give
and
me
now
a
he's coming
caution.
in. He's coming in. Oh, he's
Got a box,
really
box,
loose
box.
coming in. Car was out of shape there. He got it in under the cone, though.
Wow.
And now,
That is crazy stuff. I mean, you break in the straight line. So when you're driving your car from your cockpit view, you can't see. You can see the cone maybe, but you're looking at a marker on the right side of your vision, and using that marker as a brake, brake, brake. Then as your car starts to turn left, you see, okay, there's the pits. I mean, but you have tested and practiced this. But in the cockpit, I mean, you can't turn your head and just look over and see because you're, cyberly strapped in right there. That's unless you're driving like on the top of the car, but.
All right, so Ken in, last car to get service. When they come back around, let's see what we got. We have Jeff Hale, Rick Johnson. Rick just 0.6 off the pace from Jeff, so they pitted with 25 to go, and now they have a substantial
There's a little
lead.
space there. That 29 Chevrolet Slim Sim Racing, that thing's got a motor on it tonight,
Yeah, it
and
sure does.
he is really putting, making Rick have to push.
Yeah, we see 12 laps to go now. Jeff Hale, our leader. It's a two-car race now. 9 seconds back to third, 10 seconds back now to third place Ken Soska.
They just put a whooping on these guys, and let's get a caution. They're going to be shaking their hands, one of these guys.
Yeah, and as we discussed, Milty, if I was going to employ my strategy, which was the 20 to go strategy, it would not have worked here because these guys went 25 to go. So they were even further out, and that was an aggressive idea for both of the leaders.
Yeah, well, you probably would have adapted if you were in that position because you realized you still needed the draft, but 20 was a good marker, And if you would have done it by yourself, you would have been hosed,
Yeah, we can see there is a nice, about a half second that Jeff is now maintained for several laps.
He's so good out front.
This may be his night. He just hasn't made any mistakes at all tonight, Milty.
Well, years ago, I don't even know if it was this particular Kentucky track version, but there was a test session, and I got in there with him and Slim Jim Gately, the great Slim Jim Gately, his teammate, and they were talking about how they attack this track, and they're willing to share info, and on my own, I just couldn't. I mean, they have they know exactly where to bring that car in, get that great apex off and that run off. But we see the 52 of Rick Johnson, starting to push with coming up on 7 to go here.
Yeah, and he just
what's he gonna do?
Hasn't been able to cut into any of that lead. It's been 4 to 0.6, and it's just holding steady. And now Rick's going to have to start dealing with running out of laps in the race as we're closing in on 7 laps remaining.
Last lap for Rick Johnson, 32.4, so he kind of chunked that lap.
Yeah, and it looks like Rick's car has kind of gone away from him, Milty. Now over almost a 1.5 second advantage for Jeff Hale, and you can see Rick's car coming off
31.6 for Hale. So
and we saw Rick's car coming off of 2 there, Milty. Really kind of looked a little out of shape. So maybe a bad set of tires for Rick Johnson here.
Jeff Hale, he's had back problems.
Yeah, it looks like Rick cutting down onto the black part of the track there. I don't know if he's having some issues with controls or something here now, Milty, as he's really fallen off the pace.
Yes, definitely.
And it looks like Jeff Hale now is just going to have to run out the string here with as he crosses the line, 5 to go.
Jeff Hale had back problems, from work and sitting in a seat racing for a while there. He couldn't race and uh, long periods of off time, and then coming back in, winning a super speedway championship, and then having to do life again, like all us grown people have to do, and then come back in. And but when he shows up, when that 29 car shows up, at Miller High Life Slim Sim Racing, this guy is an exemplary uh, person and racer and member of the league. And when he shows up, he means business. And let's see if he can bring it home here. And Rick Johnson, Rick's pretty much locking it up here, but his chance for winning is done here.
Yeah, it sure is, Milty. 3 to go. Jeff Hale well out in front now.
As a vet
I
and
think
as a
we can,
champion, he's gonna definitely gonna back it off here and
looks like we can
a
turn
little
to
bit.
another battle here, Milty, and that is Rick Bisconner, Ken Soska, Mark DeSenza, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Remember, Ken came in last of all the cars, and now he's in the thick of things, battling for that final podium position.
Oh, he's got a win. He's evolved in I'm not really sure on the numbers, but you're probably looking at a year back from a little over a year from a long time layoff of sim racing, attacking all forms of type of racing, and it's all been road course racing, um, ovals. It's benefited him,
He's been doing it, man. Yeah.
and it's definitely affecting his Winston Cup car ability. You look at the car control of this '07 just in this year.
Jeff Hale.
Broadcasting and watching it's been awesome.
Yeah, and as we see, Jeff Hale taking the checkered flag, Rick Johnson second,
Yeah, buddy.
3rd, 4th, and 5th. Rick Bisconner will take that 3rd podium position. Great battle there.
That's
Rick,
a great battle back.
Involved
Yeah.
early on with Mike Sanders, and really our only racing incident of the night, Milty, and bouncing
Rick
back
is
for a nice podium.
so impressive. Rick has just got. I mean, these guys are just
And a 1-3 Slim Sim
unbelievable.
finish. Oh, and wherever Slim Jim is, traveling around our country, sitting back having a cold one right now, maybe. He's got to be really proud of his guys. Jeff Hale, dominant win, maybe the most dominant win of the season tonight. And Rick Bisconner coming back from some contact, multiple green flag stops, and taking the 3rd position. So Slim Sim 1-3, and shout out to
into the winner circle. You see Jeff into the winner circle, and Jeff would be the first one to say he would have no problem in saying, the tutelage of Slim Jim Gately, and is definitely why he's had so much success, and ultimately so much fun sim racing. Racing is all about having fun and wanting to be here and beating and at the highest level. And these guys have done that, and he's burning it off in the victory lane.
Yeah, he's in the victory lane area. I can't get any better camera angle, so that's about as good as it gets for that. But Jeff Hale, our winner, Rick Johnson second, Rick Bisconner third. Rounding out our top 5, Ken Soska, Mark DeSenza. Rounding out our lead lap cars, Ryan Johnson and Pops Margison in 7th. And then rest of the field, Mike Sanders, Dino, Josh Elliker, and Chet had some connection issues there early on. and finishing our final position there in 11th. But yeah, Jeff Hale, Rick Johnson, Rick Pisciner are our podium, and Milty wants to shoot on down to the pits and scoop up those guys for
Yeah,
a quick
yeah.
word, and we'll chat quick with them, and then let everyone enjoy their weekend. And it's the second to last week of Winston Cup racing, our final week next week. Um, we'll wrap up a grueling 23 race schedule, and it will end with the crowning of our champion, who is Rick Johnson. So congrats to Rick on, I believe, now officially uh, clinching the championship. I believe he has more than 48 points, which is the most points you could win if Rick didn't show up for the second place person. And I believe he has more than a 48 point lead over second place. So I believe Rick will be called our champion. And looking at the points, it appears Rick came into the race with a 76 point lead. So, congratulations, Rick Johnson will be our uh, season champion. Uh, but lots of other things to race for once we get maybe an update here on the standings.
Okay, we got the top three here.
All right, so we're joined by our podium finishers. Uh, and of course, first off, our race winner Jeff Hale. And Jeff, as I was saying to Milty right at the end of the race, maybe one of the most dominant races I've seen all season.
Oh,
You
that
had
was badass.
Man, you got that car out front early. You kept it out front. Outside of the green flag stops, you were just a dominant car all night. Just a tremendous drive, Jeff. Congratulations.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Good run to Rick and Rick. We raced
Yeah.
her Tuesday night, and I slipped up in one turn, and Rick got underneath me, which I don't know. I hadn't really talked to Rick yet, but he might have had a little bit of damage. But I mean, the car was good all night, good long runs. I couldn't ask for anything better.
Yeah, and we saw Rick. You were kind of shadowing him all night in second, and yeah, maybe that did play a factor there, Rick. Just a great drive by Jeff there, but also just solidifying your championship with just a solid run by yourself there, Rick. So great job.
Thanks, guys.
Good job, Rick.
Thanks, man. You too. Good one,
Yeah,
Jeff.
fantastic.
And then, of course, our third finisher tonight, I believe a very well-earned podium finish for Rick Bisconner, Milty. Early contact there with Mike Sanders as they were battling. Looked like Mike kind of came down just a bit there into the lane, and there was some contact. But, that can always unnerve you just a bit and mess your head up. But you did a great job there, Rick. Made some quality pit stops, and I'm sure a very satisfying third place podium finish. Congrats.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Just tried to hit my marks tonight, stay out of trouble. I almost got in trouble there with Sanders. I feel bad about that.
Yeah, you were asking there before I drug you up here if anybody saw the replay, and at least in our opinion, he kind of came down a little bit. Obviously he thought he had enough spacing, but those are inches and seconds, But I mean, you're definitely concerned about it, but
It was awesome race.
yeah.
You know, Jeff Hell definitely dominant in practice. I saw that he definitely could get his car going and keep it going even at the end of the run. So that's
Well,
Jeff.
absolutely. I was talking in the broadcast about testing with Jeff and uh, Slim years ago at this same track, and how they were just so good at it, and they were giving me all the information that they knew, but the way they rolled the corners and hit their marks every lap, and you're their teammate, and yeah, I mean, like I was, and am, you still got to be in awe of how they execute that every lap, and against these great pro drivers, and distance themselves.
It's definitely an honor to be on that team, on this team's.
Yeah, I'm sure a very satisfying boss there, Slim Jim Gailey there, seeing his guys 1-3 in the race, and uh, yeah, looking through the points here now, I don't believe they're updated as of yet, but what I'm seeing is there was only a 5 point separation there, Rick, between you and Ryan Johnson. Uh, we know that you finished in third there, so definitely made some ground up on them.
A little
Uh,
bit. Always fun.
Yeah, so there's still something to race for as we go into our last race for that final podium spot, and I believe that's a trophy position, Milty.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so still certainly something to race for you, Rick. That's always a good thing.
Oh
And
yeah, and to have it against Ryan just makes that much better.
yeah, and there
Yeah,
will be
yeah,
maybe some other
absolutely, and
battles to be had as well in these final race here for the points.
well, it's I'm still just amazed. Your rise in a few years there, Rick Biscotter, to compete with these guys, these legendary sim racers, and be here and yeah, I know you're humble, but these guys are so good, man. To be on the podium here tonight, that obviously took a lot of work and some skill too.
Well, I'm always mindful of the guys that I'm racing around, and tonight I look at who's in front of me, who's behind me, and they're all just top-notch drivers.
Yeah, and you're right there, So that's impressive stuff, man.
Yeah, we talk about that week in, week out, Milty. You got a good run going, and there's a mistake made, and you go from a top five to a 15th, 18th place finish, and you don't know what happened. But what happened was the rest of the field is good, and you made a mistake, and they capitalize all they
It's
had.
all it takes. Yeah. Rick Johnson, man,
Yes.
zeroing in on a championship. You could have probably 100 of them if you could have showed up. But this year, with your support from your crew chief Bonnie, and you got any shout outs you want to say, or as we close in here with one to go?
Oh, you can shout out to Bonnie. She's sitting here.
Yeah, absolutely. I can hear her. That's so cool. I mean, all just the way you ran the whole season, and you know, champion again. It's so fun. I mean,
And she actually just got here. She's disappointed she missed the race.
Well, there's always a replay to watch, and the points have been updated now, Milty, so we can
yeah,
now
yeah,
officially
yeah.
congratulate Rick Johnson on another championship. He has a 83 point lead.
Champion.
Good job, Rick.
Obviously, it is more
That's
than
my
enough.
former teammate right there.
Yeah, but congrats,
Thanks, guys.
But more to maybe now
Class act, man.
with a dominant win for the series there. The real battle now, Milty, third and fourth, just 2 points separating Ryan and Rick for that final podium finish for the season. And then Jeff Hale and Kent Soska are just 1 point apart for fifth. And what's that? 8 points to Pop. So lots to race for. We racing for a podium and racing for top fives in this final race, which will be Atlanta 1997, the old version of Atlanta, Milty, the old oval, not the quad oval.
Yeah, and that's a whole different animal, so.
And that's a track I don't believe we've seen very often here in this series. So kind of a wrinkle to finish the season. Remember, our traditional finishing race here in the Winston Cup Series has always been Texas World. And we raced that a few weeks earlier because we added weeks to the season. And now we're finishing with maybe an unfamiliar track for these guys.
Yeah, not too unfamiliar, and they will adapt quickly, and it will definitely be what a great show this whole season has been, and uh, kudos for everybody that supports these guys to race, and also for everybody showing up, and we've had tons of guys show up, but if everybody
Guys have scored points this season.
if everybody showed up, somebody would not be able to race. It's people have to do life and stuff like that. But what a wonderful thing.
Absolutely. So let's wrap up. Congrats to our race winner, Jeff Hale. Congrats to Rick Johnson for not only his second place finish, but for clinching the points title.
Again, how many championships is that, Rick? That's.
Oh,
I don't know.
he doesn't count.
No, I count them.
He'll let the FSB race.
But I don't count too good.
And also congrats there to Rick Bisconner for his solid podium finish as well. Look forward to doing it one more time before we call it a season, Melty.
And then there's all kinds of off-season stuff.
Yeah, we
Man,
got
the whole deal. Gosh, I'm gonna have to miss it, man. I gotta work tomorrow, Sunday night, so way out of town. Sucks, man. I'd like to get another one, but it's not gonna happen. So
yeah, so that's going on.
Good luck,
weekend.
everybody.
A lot of off-season events leading up to yet another season full of racing here at FSBRacing.com. So go check it out. Check out the website. Good time to sign up. Get warmed up, get all ready up for the next season. So check it out, FSBRacing.com. And again, congrats, Jeff. Congrats, Rick. And we'll catch you on the next race.
Yeah, thanks for showing up, Greg.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Greg. Yep.
Yeah, no problem.